Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrew Tweel with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources in Charleston, South Carolina. This is a project we're doing in collaboration with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and the Ace Basin NERRS, focusing on some of our threatened and endangered shorebird species, specifically the piping plover and red knot. As many of us know, shorebird populations are declining globally. These include the piping plover and red knot that I mentioned, who utilize habitats in South Carolina for overwintering and migratory habitats. Some contributing factors to this decline are believed to be increases in habitat alteration or habitat loss, as well as increases in coastal development and human presence on the beach. These can disturb foraging areas, which are critical to their survival. But what makes certain areas so desirable as foraging habitats remains somewhat poorly constrained. Therefore, successful protection and restoration will depend on better understanding dietary preferences of these species. So which worms, crustaceans, and mollusks are they targeting in these areas? And then what are the habitat criteria for those areas? So where do we find these species and what is it about them that makes them so desirable? In terms of end users and stakeholders on this project, our end user group is comprised of shorebird biologists who study these species, environmental review staff who provide comments on permits related to things that might disturb those habitats, as well as endangered species staff who are tasked with documenting occurrences of these species. And we have these collaborators at both the federal and the state level. We look to them for input on project design up front, where we would sample and stuff like that, as well as the format of our outputs in terms of what would be most useful to them. We also look to them to help develop our stakeholder group, which I'll mention in just a second. At the end of the project, we'll circle back on the end user group to present our analysis to them and get further input on the format of the outputs and ensure that it will be of optimal usability for them. In terms of our stakeholder group, this is comprised of local beach communities. In South Carolina, these communities are tasked at the state level with the development of beach management plans. And these plans must account for how these communities will manage threatened and endangered species that occur or may occur within their jurisdiction. The group also includes beach consultants and engineers, which might help these beach communities develop those plans, but also might help them with coastal engineering projects such as beach nourishment projects, which can also disturb these habitats. Also in this group is coastal property managers, such as those at the federal or state level, which are tasked with many of the same management goals. We look to them as a target for outreach efforts. So actually in the spring, we had a mini workshop to kind of highlight the state of the science in South Carolina, share some of the management concerns, and talk about what we hope to do with this project. We hope to be able to inform their planning process and also to gather feedback on the types of outputs and models that will be most useful to them. In order to accomplish this, our project approach includes the collection of new data at current foraging hotspots. So we first collected data using an unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV or drone, as these are also known, to collect both a high resolution imagery data set as well as elevation maps. Those elevation maps are generated using high precision GPS, and these surveys were conducted at 3 beaches, each of which contained 2 to 4 popular foraging habitats for these species. The elevation survey generates a tidally referenced data set, so we can actually look at both the elevation maps as well as the core data, which I'll mention in a second, in terms of where they're positioned in the tidal frame, tidal inundation, and things like that. So we also collected available prey and sediment characteristics across all those study sites. Those were tidally referenced, and we captured a variety of different types of habitats, so fine sediment mud flats, exposed energetic wave areas, and we collected 140 of those samples. We also collected, with the help of citizen scientists and some of our collaborators, 84 fecal samples from red knots and piping plovers, and these will be used for diet analysis using genetic tools in hopes that we can better understand the types of invertebrates that they're targeting on the beach. Once we have completed that analysis and have a better idea of habitat characteristics and target prey species, We will reanalyze 10 years of intertidal benthic data that we have here at DNR in-house, and then we'll use those to identify a suite of specific habitat criteria for foraging habitats for piping plover and red knot. In terms of anticipated products, we hope to gain an improved understanding of what prey species are being targeted by these shorebird species, and what makes certain areas so desirable as foraging hotspots. That those might be other physical or geographic characteristics of those areas. We then will use those to develop a habitat assessment tool, model, or key of some kind. And just kind of a visualization there on the right is a compilation of several years of piping plover foraging data for a location in South Carolina. So the tool might look something like that, or it might not, depending on kind of the feedback we get from our end user group as far as what is most useful to them. In terms of anticipated benefits, we hope this will help beach communities comply with requirements for managing their threatened and endangered species that occur within their jurisdiction. We hope this will make the environmental review and commenting process more accurate with this better information, and potentially ultimately one day this could inform restoration that could include the creation of these optimal habitats during, say, routine beach nourishment projects or otherwise. And with that, since this is pre-recorded, I'm happy to take any questions or comments by the email address provided. Thank you.